Tycho.
All right, Alameda, California. Give it up for Ralph Zig Tycho.
Hey, how you doing, Paulie? We are back.
We are back,
Comfortably
and I'm
so.
alive, and that means something to me today.
Means something to me too. Why don't we start by talking about your near fatal accident?
Oh, jeez. Sure, I'm going to get an endless tape or a repetitive tape so I can just hit play every time somebody asks me. This is literally like the 30th time I've told the story. I guess I should do it for our listening audience or viewing audience. Yeah, it's been crazy. I have a brace on this hand. I have a sling that I should be wearing on the other arm, but, we got to have a podcast once in a while. So on Friday, we were headed to the Bay. When I say we, I say my entire family minus my wife. My wife was at work. We loaded up the family van, which is a Sherman tank on wheels. As far as I'm concerned, it was a Dodge Grand Caravan, different than a Caravan. The Grand Caravans are made for touring and long distances and like camping. They have the different stowaway seats. They can have a little bed in there that you can sleep on. They have a table if you wanted to eat your dinner while you're camping or something. It has the whole thing. And so we had it loaded down. Myself, two of my kids, my dog, and both of my parents. We were driving 65 on Highway 92 towards the bridge when all of a sudden a large explosion happened, and it was a Pontiac Firebird rear-ending us doing over 80 miles an hour. Well over 80 miles an hour. They hit the corner of the vehicle. They kind of pit maneuvered the vehicle. I was doing about 65. I was going with the flow of traffic. It was like 65 miles an hour. And it hit the corner so bad and went up underneath the vehicle that it pushed me like a wheelbarrow without any control in front. And then at some point, we shot out because he was underneath us too. Shot out and like a bullet out of a gun, and we went careening down the freeway. That's how I got my wrist hurt and my elbow, is that I was holding onto the wheel so tight with this hand that I'm so sore, and my wrist because of the extreme action back and forth, because it almost overturned the van, like I believe 3 times. I know at least 2. Every time that I felt it go up on 2 wheels, I yanked it down on the other side. And so it would go for about 150 yards while everybody in my car is screaming. And I'm just hanging in there and holding onto the wheel and smashing down on the brake. Matter of fact, I should have mentioned that to the doctor too. I was smashing down on the brake with my right foot so much that even my ankle's sore. But it's not twisted. I can walk on it, but my wrist really took it. My elbow took it because the guy went along the side of the van and not only went up and under, but all the way along the side of the van where myself, my mom, and my one son were. And we all got kind of abrased by the vehicle and the inside of our vehicle by him running along the outside of the vehicle. Yeah, so the van's totaled. We're all safe. The van's totaled. 3 of us out of the 5 of us are banged up. The dog's always liked police officers until they run up to your car. And so the dog always liked cops until the other day when they ran up and pounding on the door. And that was about it. And yeah, that was Friday. It's now Tuesday. I feel like literally a Super Bowl linebacker Monday morning. And so I'm just hurting. I'm a little crunchy. Yeah. So, but I'm glad and happy to be here with you guys. And I'm really happy that we have a friend of ours. And, it's been way, way, way too long since we talked to him.
At
I know
least
you
a
talk to
year.
him more than I do, but I think I had to go back in my records, and I'm like, well, when's the last time we talked to him? Joining us from Florida, unless he's moved.
No.
Okay. Joining us from Florida, friend, personality. Give it up for Jack Degraw, everybody. Woohoo! What's happening,
Hey,
Jack?
Dan.
Hey,
Good to
Jack,
see you, Ralph.
nice to have you back, my friend.
Well, you've tried a couple times, but I've had trouble with my computer, which is no surprise. I always have trouble with electronics, so nothing
Oh,
Right.
new.
there you
Well,
go. And you have a different backdrop today. Sometimes you're in your front room. It looks like you're doing the kitchen.
Yeah, I'm in the kitchen now, and the dog's under the table, and he's looking at the peanut butter. So there's a little pressure on me, but I'll come through.
There you
hey,
go. There you
what?
go.
Paul's dog is named Ace. What's your dog's name, Jack?
My dog is named Yoshi. Yoshi. Now
Okay.
the previous two dogs were named Yogi, and then I had a Mickey and a Poochie and a Wags. So this is the sixth dog I've ever had.
Oh,
Wow.
there you go. How old's your dog?
Uh,
And what type of dog is it?
He's a white lab mix, and it's the
Okay.
first female dog I've ever had, and she causes the most trouble out of all the dogs I ever
Yeah,
had.
but she sounds like she probably has the most love. I know Labradors have the most love, but they have a lot of energy and they're a little, even if when they start getting older, they're still kind of boisterous and knocking things down and having fun.
they're
Yeah.
rambunctious.
Yeah, they're rambunctious. There you go.
There's nothing
All right.
wrong with it. So
But it's good to
And
see you. So what have you been up to?
well, basically, what I go to sporting events, I go to the gym, and that's what I've done. That's what I've done my whole life, and that's pretty much what that's what I
Oh,
love to
that's
do.
why you look so good. You've been on the RFK and Kid Rock workout diet, going to the gym, drinking milk in the hot tub.
No, it's basically basketball, throwing the baseball against the wall, hitting the tennis racket, riding the bike like 60 miles a week. So that's what I like to do. So I've been doing it
Well,
for my whole life.
let me brag on you for a minute. You hold a certain record for most consecutive free throws, and it's on YouTube. So tell us about that and how we can the audience can get to see your YouTube. Leave us a link.
Well, the thing is, it's just my name, Jack Degraw. What happened, I tried to contact the Guinness World Record, and I wanted to try to break the record, but I never got the opportunity because it just things didn't work out. I wanted to do it for charity, but I wanted to have the opportunity to do the record, and I still would like to try, but I want if I do it, I want it to go to charity.
Right.
Right.
And a lot of the charities, it goes in their front pockets, so it might never.
Right.
Oh,
It doesn't get to where it needs to be. Right.
No, and that's a problem. So,
well, what charity would you most like it to go to?
it's like anything, Ralph. It could be cancer patients. It could be kids, who want to play sports. It could be dogs. Just pretty much anybody.
Yeah, yeah. You have a good heart, Jack. What do you do avocationally? How do you get by in life?
Well, I have the Social Security and stuff, and I see. I live very simply, so I really don't need a lot. So I've been very
Yeah.
fortunate that the lifestyle I live, it doesn't really take much, and
Do
so
you own your own house? Is that a burden off you?
no.
No. So that's one of your biggest things is maybe living costs and food and stuff like that. But otherwise, you're pretty okay and you're pretty self-sufficient.
Yeah, I'm good. See, one of the things when you get older, they got the silver sneakers, so you can join all these clubs for basically for free.
Right.
So
Right.
so I guess they're trying to get rid of us quick to figure if we work out, we might have a heart attack and stuff. But as of yet, that hasn't happened, so I'm good.
Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
Yeah,
Um, you told me who was your inspiration for your lifestyle when you were a kid, who you looked at and said, "Wow, this guy knows how to do it, knows how to go around the track." Who did you learn from?
well, really, I don't think I had any like one person and stuff, but I think with my grandparents, my grandmother and my grandfather, they grew up during the Depression. I used to talk to like her brothers and sisters, and they learned how to get by. They were very very self-reliant, and I seen that if people work together, which they don't do too often, they can get by. And an interesting thing, talking to my grandmother, her grandfather was with the Union Army at Gettysburg.
Whoa.
So it was very interesting.
So she carried on stories of the Civil fucking War.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
her
And,
grandfather joined the Union Army, and they told him, he says, the doctors tell you got a bad heart, you're not going to live long, so you might as well join the service. And he lived to be 99. But the interesting thing, he was at Gettysburg. Now he wasn't in the battle; he was smart enough to be on the outskirts and stuff. And the interesting thing is, when my grandmother was probably about 20 years old, which was 1924, they went back to Gettysburg, and he met up with a Confederate soldier on Little Round Top. So how cool is that?
yes, very cool. What is your mindset politically with what's going on in today's crisis a moment? Do you keep up with that at all?
Well, the thing is, Ralph, like, I've never voted because I think the people who are supposedly supposed to lead us are the worst people on earth. It's absolutely disgraceful what's going on now. Our
Oh,
president
yeah.
is a friggin' disgrace. I mean, these people should be in jail. I mean, and then you have people defending him, and even like with the Epstein list. I mean, this guy knew about this, and he was best friends with it, and they do deplorable things, and people still defend him. And if they knew somebody in their life who was just associated and said, with abducting kids, they wouldn't want nothing to do with it. This is absolutely disgraceful what's going on. I'm glad I'm old. I wouldn't want to live in this world for for the way it is now.
So
Boy,
what was
that
it?
reflects how.
George Carlin had a bit where he would say, um, people get it wrong in this country. They say we can only blame you if you didn't get out to vote. And he goes, I don't vote. He goes, that way you can't blame me for any of this shit.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so it used to be that way. It used to be, well, if there's not a good, cover your dog's ears, but if there's not a good dog in the race, then don't bet. And so I get it, but I think all of my life, I'm 58. I think there's only been one time where, for one, it was the thing that kind of inspired me to vote, was voting for Obama. But I was unregistered and stuff because for a long time it was a shit show, and you're voting for the lesser of two evils. Well, that's still said today. You're still kind of voting for the lesser of two evils. You know, we look at this
No
last race
question.
between Biden or Harris and Trump. Yeah, you were voting your conscience or your heart or your gut or whatever, and a lot of those people now, even the Trumpers, have buyer's remorse. And
Oh, they
so
best have. you know,
I saw
what
I
the
saw
hell?
a great skit. I saw a great skit on Saturday Night Live. It was like a month ago, and it was basically a mother sitting down her family, and it was almost like she was coming out and saying she had cheated on her husband because the husband's there, the 2 kids are there, whatever. And she's like, I have to confess, blah, blah, blah. And she's basically coming out saying that she's not full on denouncing Trump, but she's basically saying, I may have made a mistake. And, some of the things that are happening are not really good things. And so she really downplays it, but the whole time the family's like yelling at her, it's about fucking time. Where in the hell you been? And all this shit. And it's funny because I think there's a lot of families that's kind of happening silently with. People are looking at the Trumpers in their family and they're going, what do you say today? What do you got to say today? What about what he did this time? And it's really hard to defend him. A lot of these things are undefensible.
Why
so
do
anyway,
these people have...
our latest debacle is not even a debacle. We're in war with the Middle East again? No. So anyway, that's where I'm at.
We've given them reason, Iran that is, to really hate us beyond rationality. Because if you think of what the Ayatollah means to these people, it's you're going to inspire them to kill Americans for 20 years.
Well, yeah, and it's happening with all these drone strikes and everything else, and it's scary. It is scarier than shit. So no, we don't need to be in another war. We don't need to be in another regime change. We don't need to be having strange bedfellows like Netanyahu.
When did we go from Congress not being the deciding factor of when we go to war?
If you grew up in this country, we were sold a bill of goods that what made our country different in a lot of ways was checks and balances. Well, sorry folks, all those checks have bounced. And our bank account doesn't balance. So our checks and balance are screwed. There wasn't any. It was a facade built. I think we've said it off and on over the last few weeks, which we're making today a political show, and we don't need to be, but we've said it over the last few weeks, even the last few months, that he's really trying to pave the way for unfair elections, or maybe stopping the elections, or being at war, or and a lot of it.
And he got the war so he can say we can't have an election.
Right.
And if the Supreme Court, which has become much more favorable to our cause lately.
Oh my gosh. I'm glad that some of those people are standing up for the right thing.
Yes. And when are they going to impeach the guy? I guess that's, or Amendment 25, or somebody take some action, because
I don't know if they can make Amendment 25 stick this minute. I mean, I believe it. Believe me, I don't think he's fit for office, but you actually have to. The problem is he controls a lot of the narrative. They would give him a cognitive test, and of course he would pass with flying colors, right?
Well, not this week. It doesn't seem. He's getting worse.
Right, but what I'm saying is every time he goes in for a cognitive test, it's his doctors that release it. Same thing with his physicals. They say, oh, what did they say last time? It was last year. They said he was the same height and weight as, I forget what football player or what person they compared him to. And I was like, are you fucking shitting me? He's not. I think they said he was like 163 or 170 and 6 foot or whatever. And I'm like, that's like the size of whatever, not a linebacker, but a good sized sports person with a low BMI. He has a high BMI. He has cognitive issues.
He's ready.
I've been dealing with elderly seniors for a long time, and I'm not even in his distance, his immediate distance. I can tell he's wearing Depends. He's having incontinence issues. They've had reports that the West Wing smells like diapers.
Right.
And so he's definitely losing some of his physical capabilities. We've seen what he's done mentally. I've always questioned what he's done mentally. It doesn't matter if it was in 2000 or 2026. But it's a whole new breed of it. And so yeah, no, I don't know. We're waiting. I think we're still waiting for the midterms. I think we're waiting for the Democrats to finally get off their ass, get their shit together, but don't hold your breath, guys. And then the Republicans, a lot of them just keep going along with this shit until the SS Trump goes down. They're going to be at his side. They're going to be the band that played on. So,
well, I'm an optimist. I don't think he's going to last more than a couple of weeks, a month, something like that. He stays up all night on these rants.
I know.
He's just fucking bananas. That's the best way.
And look at
Jack,
this
so how do you keep your sanity? I'm guessing you don't watch a lot of news and
no, I see. One more thing I got to throw. This ICE thing is disgraceful. I mean, grabbing people and murdering people on the streets. I mean, this looks like Nazi Germany. This is deplorable. I mean, where I used to live in Netcon, they are building a detention center not far from the Stanhope Cemetery. So I mean, this is unbelievable. Who would expect this in America?
There's the Everglades Alcatraz. So you're in Florida. Where are you in conjunction to that Alcatraz, the Everglades Alcatraz?
I'm quite a bit away from it, which is good.
Okay.
I'm in Temple Terrace, pretty much living in the woods, so I can see all the nonsense, pretty much.
So if I told you there was like alligator on your backside, you'd go, yeah, that's Albert or whatever.
I'll tell you an alligator. I was in Florida for over 20 years, and I never seen an alligator. Wow. And the one time I crossed 301, and I was on the side. I didn't go on the sidewalk because some guy was walking, so I rode in the road. And what come out of the woods? An alligator.
Shit.
So I seen an alligator on the sidewalk while riding my bike, and he crossed the street. So I'd imagine, could you imagine getting bitten by an alligator on your bicycle on the sidewalk?
Here's the thing, and I guess it's the comedian in me. Did you ask him why he crossed the street?
No.
Okay. No, I was dying to find out because I would have another punchline. That would be good. Okay.
But the funny thing is, after he crossed the street, the cars were like beeping at him, and he was like, flapping his jaw at him. And there was people on the other side of the street, and they were trying to direct him on the sidewalk to get out of the road. But he did pretty much what he wanted to do.
Well, that's good. They kind of look at it like a squirrel or something. They don't want to run him over.
No. So
that's the alligator, Florida squirrels. Okay, got it. All right.
You know what's worse than that? When I visited Florida to see my mom in her condominium in Coral Springs, I'd wander off and where they weren't spraying, I made the mistake once of sitting and trying to get high, just sitting there. And I was infested by bugs of all kinds. And bit the shit out of my hands. So that's what my experience with Florida was. Yeah. what made you decide, Jack, on living where you live as opposed to anywhere else in Florida or, for that matter, in the country?
Well, when I first come down here, like October of 2004, it's when the Yankees were blowing a 3-0 lead to the Red Sox. I come down, I lived right across the street from the Yankee complex at Himes. So I could walk over there all the time and watch the Yankees train. And Stuyvesant
Oh,
Field was down the street, and about 5 miles away, the Lightning used, the hockey, and I could walk up to the gate the day of the game and get in for $10. And the gym I used to go to, a lot of the Rays players were there, the Bucks players, the Yankees. I had a chance to meet A-Rod and Joe Torre and play tennis with Mark Melanson and catch passes from Phil Simms and Chris Simms. It was a great time. It was a lot of fun, and I'm very lucky to be able to do that. But unfortunately, what's happened to spring training now, opposed to years ago, it's
not the same.
no, not even close. It's not even fun anymore, Ralph.
Yeah.
It's not even fun.
It's a total business. And not that it wasn't before, but the spring used to be a respite from that shit. And it's changed.
Well,
Yeah, I noticed that with people that have go to see the Giants in Arizona. That used to be more of a vacation. There was no pressure. There was just fun times. People would go from California to Arizona because it was relatively cheap. And in Arizona, their cost of living and their food and their stuff is pretty low. And so it was a neat little respite, like you said, for families to go from, like, let's say California or Nevada and go to Arizona and go watch the Giants during the
well,
preseason. So
I'll give you an example. Where I used to live, a lot of the minor league players used to live there, and they were all good guys. I was friendly with them and stuff. And you could hear the crack of the bat, and I'd walk across the street, and pick up baseballs and go watch them practice. And then, during the spring training, when the guys went on the road, say to Lakeland, on the side field, you could go watch them practice. You see Jeter hit, and A-Rod, and Cano, and Chef, I know your buddy Chef, and Bernie. And I mean, it was incredible. And now that's all been taken away. You can't go. It's like if you can't spend money, we don't want you to go.
It reminds me, I used to go for the U.S. Open. Before it was the U.S. Open, it was Forest Hills. And I lived in Queens and would get to go when they had side courts. And you could walk around and see a great match of the up and comers, the low seeded players. And it was so great being that close. It was like a neighborhood tennis wall, that kind of thing.
Well, I was fortunate enough to go to Forest Hills, and I seen Agassi play, and Sampras, and Lendl, and McEnroe. This was the last year they had the tournament there. They had the cobblestone streets, and then I went to the U.S. Open like 23 years in a row. And I remember the first year going, like in '82, you would walk right up to the gate and get in for $15. And another thing during that time, like at night, they would have the night matches, and they'd let the people in like 6:45. And like Martina would play the first match. So you would watch, I'd go to the outside courts. And then when Martina's match was over in 45 minutes, we'd go in the stadium for free and see Sampras play, and Lendl, and McEnroe. I mean, Vilander. It was just outstanding. Steffi. It was, it was great.
Agassi was my favorite, one of my favorites. great years in tennis. Um, Tell me about. Let's take a break first, and then I want to have Jack give us his update on what's going on in the Yankees. And so, Paulie, let's do a little business.
All right. You got it, sir. Yes, it's my time to shine. All right, guys. Please like, subscribe, and follow all of our sponsors. Please patronize them. They not only give you peace of mind, they're professionals in their field. So please listen and follow these guys. Whether it's criminal defense, estate planning, or civil litigation, the answer is the law offices of Andrew Doja. Call us today at 510-865-1600 or find us on the web at dojalaw.com.
For tenant and landlord disputes, there's no other than the law office of Jeff Canberra. Call now 1-510-865-7369 and don't forget to tell them Zig sent you.
All right, guys. Again, we're all lawyered up, so please have a peace of mind to go check those guys out. But for us, this is our time to shine. Please go like, subscribe, follow us on all social media. Make sure to ring that little bell. That little bell tells you when a new episode drops into your box. So again, we're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and now Twitch. And as always, what does Zig say?
Well, Zig says he's been getting a lot of positive response from helping the Head Start program wherever you are. And we advise as a network and as people that you wrap up some new or slightly used children's books and take them to the Head Start program where it's needed so much, this type of thing. And coincidentally, we were talking about Trump. All these programs are being cut. So the advantage that a kid gets if he or she learns to read and develop a passion early on. They should be reading what they've gravitated to by age 8. What's your passion? Ours was baseball, basketball, hockey, football, sports, roller derby. I can remember going to the roller derby and seeing Bill Robinson, who was Sugar Ray Robinson's son, and he's skating around as a New York Chief. That was my passion, stuff like that. It's carried over into life. I have something to think about, and life is never, ever boring. And that's what you want to give your kid, the ability to choose for themselves what they pick up on and encouragement. But it starts with the books. So wherever you are, there could be a Head Start program in your neighborhood, and hopefully there is. Bring the books. Lightly used clothes too. Winter clothes. Still winter some places. Here it's 75 today. Paulie, it's getting nice. Anyway,
so there you go. So don't forget, Head Start programs help children get ready to succeed in school and in life, folks. Early learning and development, health and wellness, family well-being, and family engagement. It all starts with a book. So please, lightly loved books or new books to your local Head Start program. And wow, I can sleep better at night knowing that.
Nice.
There you go.
Thank you,
all right,
Paulie.
we're back here. We're back with Jack. Now Jack has fed his dog more peanut butter.
Yeah.
We're down. We've got at least another 20 minutes or so, and then we're good.
Jack, tell us about what's going on in Yankeeville. My number one question is Bob Boone is still the manager, not Bob Boone.
Aaron Boone.
Aaron Boone. Did you predict that would be 2 or 3 years ago?
Well, I think the thing, the fans want to get rid of him and they want to get rid of Cashman, and it's just not going to happen. They have a formula that's worked for them, and it gets them into the playoffs every year. But the players they have, the reason, like, when you had Jeter and Babe Ruth and A-Rod and Mickey Mantle and stuff and Yogi, these guys performed in the playoffs. The guys they have now, I mean, they're outstanding players, but when they get to the playoffs, it's a different story. And I mean, look at last year. They won 94 games, and they have 5 home playoff games. So they made a lot of money. And they're not going to break up that formula, and get rid of Boone and Cashman and stuff, because I think with George's son, they're businessmen, and they're not as fanatical as they want to win. But the bottom line is, well, if we get in the playoffs, we sell a lot of tickets, we're not going to change the formula. And if they bring in new people, they're going to have to get a whole new analytics team and everything. And the New York fans are not going to settle for a 75 and 87 season while they're rebuilding.
No, there's no rebuilding in New York. Fans will not accept that in any sport. They're very impatient, and rightfully so. Look at the history the Yankees have given us since we were kids. Unbelievable. 5 in a row from 1949 to 1953. The middle year dynasties for us as kids, 56, 57, 58, 59, great teams.
Yeah.
Then there was the Horace Clarke years, kind of disappointing, but not unexpected. See, when the Yankees were being sold, the owners, last 2 or 3 years, put nothing into scouting whatsoever. So the cupboard was dry for CBS, who owned them, and the likes. Horrible years. But you know what? Years where you had Mel Stottlemyre, still had Mickey.
Bobby Mercer
coming up. Incidentally, we've talked about Bobby Mercer and the trade for Bobby Bonds at length, you and I. It was a bad deal for both teams. Mercer wasn't happy out here in San Francisco. And let's face it, getting rid of Bobby Bonds was not the best move. If he didn't have demons, he could have been as great as anybody that ever played.
In his only year with the Yankees, and he was injured a lot, he played hurt. He had 30 homers and 32 stolen bases.
Wow.
Let me just throw in something before I forget it. When the Yankees fell apart in '65, one of the things is Tony Kubek was a starting shortstop. He hurt his back playing flag football in the Army. Elston Howard hurt his elbow. Roger Maris had a broken wrist, and they misdiagnosed that. Tom Tress tore a hamstring in spring training, and he played another season. Then he lost strength in his knee, and he was never the same. And Jim Bouton, he pitched like 550, 600 innings for 2 years, and he threw as hard as he can for as long as he can, and he hurt his arm. So they had a lot of, terrible injuries and stuff that, the medical staff misdiagnosed. And plus, they didn't sign black players, and that was another thing. And Elston Howard hurt his elbow, and Elston was a great player.
Yeah, but you're right about it bringing up the black player issue. Boston didn't have a major leaguer till 1959. Can you imagine that?
Yeah,
that
the Billions. Sorry, Ralph.
Yeah, Pumpsy Green. But,
the Billions had a black hockey player before the Red Sox had a black baseball player.
Right. Willie, who is the hockey player?
Willie Ray, something like Willie O'Ray. It was something like that.
Yeah. And the way they treated blacks, like Bill Russell in Boston, was absolutely deplorable. Bill Russell said he would rather be homeless in Seattle than the mayor of Boston. That's what he thought of the racial injustice that he and everybody of color, it was, you like to say they're not discriminating, but it was a horrible time in this country. And let me remind people out there that we are a nation of, the initial nation was founded by slave owners and imperialists. And that was only like 300 years ago. So the reason things are screwed up now isn't just Trump. It's been horrible. And let me just say, as a country, we were decimated by the assassinations in 1968 and thereabouts. And
Kennedy.
Things are kind of fucked. But your Yankees came back from the CBS era when they hired Joe Torre, who had been a rousing failure as a manager in 2 or 3 places before that. What made them think that he'd be so great then?
One of the things, Ralph, we got to give credit to Buck Showalter. Really helped turn that team around. He brought a new professional philosophy in. The players, they worked the count better, and he actually won a lot of games with the Yankees. But George says, "Well, I'm not going to fire you, but you got to fire your coaching staff." And Buck said, "I'm not doing that." So he went somewhere else, and they brought in Torre. And Torre was the perfect manager for the Yankees because he didn't have a big ego, and he could soothe George. He knew how to handle George, and he just did a phenomenal job.
Yeah. Who was responsible for bringing him in?
I'd imagine the Stick had a lot to do with it. Gene Michael, the Stick, just did a great job. He really should have. There's a lot of plaques out in center field at Yankee Stadium, and the Stick should have one there.
Yeah. Who isn't there beside the Stick? Who should be on those plaques? That isn't.
One of the things, Ralph, they're going to retire CC Sabathia's number. And CC was a great pitcher, but the last 7 years, CC was a 500 pitcher. They're going to have guys like Lefty Gomez,
Vic
Reynolds, Eddie Lopat, and Vic Raschi,
Yeah.
even if you put the three of them together, because Allie Reynolds, from the 5 years the Yankees won the championship from 49 to 53, Vic Raschi was involved in, 12 out of the 20 wins. So, I mean, or Allie Reynolds was 12. And, the thing is, when you get CC out there, the fans remember him and they'll buy T-shirts and they'll spend the money and stuff. But guys like Lefty Gomez, we could go on and on with Allie Reynolds and Lopat and, so many, Spud Chandler, and, there was just so many great Yankee pitchers, Red Ruffing. I mean, the list is endless.
Is Billy Martin on that wall?
Yeah, Billy's out there.
Oh, good. That's good. You mentioned those three pitchers, Ruffing and Lopat Reynolds. I did an interview with Charlie Silvera a while back, naturally, and he jokingly said they should go into the Hall of Fame as a trifecta. And he was right. Tell us the story how they got rid of Vic Raschi.
I think he went in and he gave
to St. Louis.
Yeah, he I mean, George Weiss knew his
what a dick.
Yeah,
what a dick.
I mean, he knew his business. But he was like heartless.
Right.
If you couldn't win, if he wouldn't keep you, he'd just get rid of you, and if he could find somebody cheaper. And I mean, Vic Raschi was coming off an outstanding season in 54, was it 53 or 50? But he was losing it a little bit, and he just discarded him right to the Cardinals. And Weiss did that to a lot, but he knew how to build the team, so we got to give him credit there. But from what I understand, he was a dick, and Johnny Blanchard told a story to me when they called Johnny up in 1955 to the Yankees, and they asked Johnny, what was it like to be in the major leagues? He said, well, it's a lot better than the long bus trips in the minors. And he said Weiss called him in the office and said, don't you, who are you to say something like that? And they didn't bring him up again for 3 years. So that's the kind of person George Weiss was.
Well, good hitter, Blanchard. Unbelievably good hitter. That's 61. We talked about the teams we talked about. The 61 team was perhaps the greatest team that in our childhood, early adulthood, what have you. Maris, Yogi, Mick, unbelievable
Richardson,
team.
Kuback, Boyer.
Yes.
Endless.
Yes. What an infield.
Ralph Terry.
And yes, Ralph Terry. And they stayed healthy. And one of my buddies from doing podcasts, even before, was Joe DeMaestri, who came over with Roger Maris.
Shortstop, yeah.
Yeah. And he pointed out that those guys, the regulars, Yogi platooning with
Elston and Blanchard.
Yeah, no, but in left field specific.
Hector Lopez.
Yes, Hector Lopez. Those guys, those 9 or 10 guys played the whole season. And I just want to tell you that when Richardson and Kubeck went down with their injuries, that was the beginning of the end right there. So, all right. Anything you want to add?
Kubeck was 29 when he retired because of the back, and Bobby Richardson was only 31. So they were still, fairly young.
Yeah, let me give you a bibliography, if I might, speaking of Tony Kubeck. He wrote a book called 61, about that very season, and it was eh, incredible. I could not think that he wrote it himself. Had to have some help from a journalist. I don't remember if
It might have been
anyone.
Terry Pluto. I'm not sure. It might have been Terry Pluto.
Ah,
Maybe.
Pluto wrote a book on the Mets too. Um, Loved Pluto's writing, as a matter of fact. But tell me something that you'd like to leave the audience with, Jack.
Well, just stay positive. That's it. Don't let some scumbags and evil people bring you down, because goodness will win in the end.
Nice,
There you go.
nice. Paulie, how would you like to end it? Blessings, by the way, that you guys weren't seriously hurt or killed in that crash.
Yeah, I don't care if you believe in a higher power or not, or just dumb luck, or however you look at it. Blessings. I've been using the word blessed a lot lately, which usually has a religious connotation attached to it, which, again, there's something supernatural in this universe. If I'm sitting here, even with this stupid little brace on, talking to you today, um, whatever it was, I appreciate it, and thank you. Even if even if I pray to George Carlin is my higher power, I'll do it. But yeah, no, I'd like to leave the audience with, hey, man, every day is yours. Seize it. Do what you need to do. Express yourself free and openly in a country that we love. Realize that the person on the other side of the aisle is probably a family member. Um, and just live your day the best you can, in
Yeah.
service of others and service of your family and yourself. So,
And accept the fact, if you would, and this is purely my opinion, that we are all our own higher powers. So, with that, I just want to say keep your dreams wet, keep your humor dry, keep your kids and grandkids out of military recruiting stations, and keep on keeping on.
there you go. And Jack, anybody you want to shout out before we go to?
No, just I hope the Yankees win the World Series, and everybody take care of themselves, and just enjoy your life. It's a gift.
There you go. All right,
Absolutely.
guys.
All right.
Like we say, stay in the zone, even if it's not a Tuesday. Stay in the zone. Ziggy, till next week, get us out of here.
I just want to say, too, I forgot to add keep your kids off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. They get very little play in an era of pedophiles that they look at it as Epstein was an amateur. So keep that in mind, and be careful who watches your kids. That's all.
That's right. And we still haven't seen all the Epstein files. Till next week,
Oh,
guys. We're out
we're
of here.
gonna we're
See
gonna
you
see them.
guys. Bye.
Adios, guys. Thanks, Jack.
Take care anytime, guys. Take care of yourself, Paul. See
Yep,
you soon,
thank
Al.
you. All right, guys, we're out. And till next week, stay in the zone.